So guys, we did it!
The new show Batwoman looks pretty bad, doesn't it? What do you say, Jensen? It can't be that bad, can it? Like, surely it's not gonna do anything.
I wasn't exactly bursting with joie de vivre.
I know I've let you down.
So the CW hasn't exactly been known for quality since Smallville ended, I guess. Not really. And there's definitely been a trend of late to make reboots of once glorious IPs that strip away everything good from the original character people cherished and give it to some weird weenie white chick with too much attitude and not enough substance and her cuck sidekick that she abuses. Hang on, that's weird though. Why is it that every time that there's an apparently progressive reboot that's woke, why does it always involve a white main character physically abusing her black sidekick? Is that costume made out of hand-picked cotton, Kate? Welcome back to Wish for Death Island, Population Me, where today we gotta go save Gotham, cause nobody else is gonna do it. And believe me, it is bad. I can't tell which one's worse, this or the shit that they're doing in Marvel right now. When the trailer dropped around 10 months ago, I was pretty excited to see the cringing that the people I subscribed to would do when they saw the masterpiece that they were in store for. I wasn't considering doing a video on it myself, but it's just so bad that look what happened. It definitely didn't disappoint, I'll tell you that much. From the overt pandering to the really loud punch sounds to the bat suit that looks like a porn parody, but the porn would probably still look better. And the fact that even though the suit is supposed to be black for stealth, she chooses to pair it with a bright red wig from Spotlight to become a beacon for any enemy who wanted to kill her. This was looking like the best thing to happen to this dark timeline. And it is. I mean, just look at the music for the entire series, including the trailer. It's some edgy pop music you hear in Hot Topic. That's not even a joke, you would actually hear this in the exact soundtrack in Hot Topic. It's to make you think that this is unique and deep, when in reality it's the most radio-friendly and safe thing to ever exist. I mean, it's definitely nothing that we've not heard before. People listen to it thinking that they're unique, but they're really not. It makes young teenage white girls feel all the coolness of being a rebel with a cause and none of the discomfort, thinking, or action of actually being one. The show immediately exploits the scenes of Kate kissing her girlfriends, which is funny because this is apparently a show that's pro-LGBT, but as you'll see, it is the most exploitative anti-LGBT, unintentionally that is, divisive thing we've ever been graced with. Fred Phelps would definitely be proud. The CW has the slogan, Dare to Defy, which is incredibly funny to me when you picture all of the stupid teenage girls running around acting like they're quirky in a desperate cry to be seen as unique without putting any of the effort of having an actual personality, coupled with the fact that this is the safest and easiest way to do a reboot in this current day and age, making it woke, and not having the backlash of people saying that it's gonna cause a shooting somewhere because of incels, because you dare to not put overt political themes in it. And then there's Kate being told that she is the female Bruce Wayne, to which she replies,
Awesome, hilarious, handsome.
Because the best way to see if someone really has those qualities is if they have to tell us and not show us. Then they rip off the obnoxious thing that Captain Marvel did in the trailer, where they blank out the O in hero to make a message they think is smart. And we all know how much people love Captain Marvel. But the worst thing that the trailer provides is the line,
I'm not about to let a man take credit for a woman's work.
This line is said by a woman who has just barged into a man's building, abused his trusted friend who was watching over said property, stole and mutilated every single item that this man owned to suit herself, everything that he has created from scratch to suit herself. And she has the nerve to say that he has stolen from her, as she stands in front of the tattered remains of all of his hard work that she has claimed for her own. This is when we all knew we were in for something special. Something so special that I had no choice but to head over to the CW website to check it out for myself. Due to licensing restrictions.
Trust me, this isn't the story I expected to be telling.
But it was the one that the CW shat out. Don't worry, honey. No one else wanted it either.
But stories, like the people who tell them, aren't always what they seem.
You know, in a good or even mediocre show, they let the theme of the show come through with the way that the events unfold, and don't just give us direct explanations through narration of what the show should be before the show even starts. But here we are. So this is Kate What's-Her-Face, the cousin of the Mr. Big Bat himself, and she is currently swimming around in the ice-covered lake in her underwear with cuffs around her ankles for reasons. Hey, if you're into that, you're into that. I don't want to pry. But she finds the key, and then an evil figure puts cover over the hole and she cannot escape. So she decides the best course of action is just to have a 5 FPS flashback of the events from her childhood for some fucking reason. I don't know why the flashback is so badly put together. It looks like one of those 90s music videos where they put still frames together to make it look like edgy and cool. One of the only times where this happens is when Batman is supposed to be in the shot, I think, because I guess they didn't afford to have anyone notable play Batman, so they just try to lower the frame rate so you wouldn't see it. It makes me sick. Like, I don't usually get motion sickness from anything in games, but this is actually making me kind of sick. She and another stupid kid are taking pictures in the back seat, and then there's some bus that wants to destroy the show before it can begin, and I pray for him. But alas, the back of Batman's head is here to save the day, and this brave soul dies, not succeeding in murdering children. Always in our hearts, Bus Man, Juan but not forgotten. I guess one of the kids in the flashback somehow managed to pass Kate an energy drink or something because she manages to break through the ice and then come out somehow not being dead or suffering from extreme hypothermia that would leave her without fingers or working areas of her brain. I guess she's just a powerful Yas queen, as they say. And then she goes back to the hut of her mysterious foreign and vaguely Asian kind of Inuit member of some ambiguous form of martial arts, stereotype trainer, and he chews her out and she just stands there and has another exposition narration. I was wondering why they included this stereotype when this is kind of a uber progressive show, right? I would think that they would think that this is racist, but apparently it's not. Because the show seems to want to make all of the male characters weak and all of the language super modern for the woke teen audience and talk about misogyny and all of this stuff, but apparently this caricature of a fighting specialist is totally fine. This one isn't racist. But then again, the Asian character is the smart medical student in the show, so I suppose that stereotype isn't racist either. What was the training even for? How is having cuffs around your ankles while you play find the key in a frozen pond supposed to help you with anything? Endurance, I guess? But if she died down there because she didn't know how to come out, what was the trainer supposed to do? Hide the body? How many other people have died during these exercises? What are your qualifications, your beard? Kate explains to the audience that Batman disappeared one day and Gotham sucks, but he doesn't care, so he's not coming back.
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye.
The problem with the narration, as you'll see, is that it seeks to tell us the theme for the episode not only before the episode, but after the episode as well. Like, she'll have a recap narration. But the thing is, the themes of the episode are already shoved in our face during the episode anyway. So we're being told all of this shit like 3 times when they could have just let us figure it out through the story. And Kate sounds so fucking bland. You cannot sound like you care less than you do. And why should I give a shit about it when she doesn't? So we follow a truck coming through to the place where Batman's light is shining, and seemingly has been for a long time. Turns out they're here to turn the light off, and all 5 other people who live in this town are here to protest it because they have not given up hope, and they all apparently went to a sale at the same arts and crafts store to get their signs. But apparently everyone else doesn't care. So the people who have just arrived is Kate's dad's wife and her daughter, who immediately decides to take a selfie in front of a random child, and her mother expresses disappointment in this. I know I would. Wife then gets stopped by Jacob Kane, and he gives the most awkward exposition to who he is.
Well, that's the only excuse I have to see my radiant wife.
These people talk like they might as well be facing the camera when they introduce themselves or the title of the person that they're talking to. I don't go up to friends and say, well, we have known each other for 6 years and I like playing video game with you and I really enjoyed the book you recommended to me as you suggest to me game and anime from time to time that I enjoy. And we are friends and that is a sign of our friendship. Kate introduces us to the Crows, who are a private organization that gives security that Batman could never give, apparently, because he's gone now. And they're apparently this huge organization that Jacob is the leader of, but there's like 3 idiots standing on the rooftop and one bitch is looking at all of the camera feeds at once and somehow managing to see everything that's going on and not going cross-eyed from it. So I guess this is how good the Crows are. They only need 3 of them. There's also this chick who will become a main character. As we go through, we get told her name and I don't fucking remember what her name is, so I'm just going to call her Black Lightning. I, Jacob Kane, will talk directly to you, Black Lightning, in the direction that you are standing in on the roof, to basically telegraph your location to any bad guys who might be figuring out where the security is so they can take you out. The wife starts her speech to all of the 15 residents of Gotham and just straight up says, Batman gave up on us, as if that's a good opening.
Batman gave up on us.
And she explains that we gotta get the light off. Now, I haven't read the comics, and it's been a long time since I watched anything directly Batman related besides the Joker doesn't count. So I could be wrong about this. Doesn't the light act as what calls Batman? Because at first I assumed that they were just having it on in the hopes that Batman would be called back one day, and that's why it's on for a while. But later on in the series, when it's on for Batwoman or Batvagina, whatever you want to call her, they just have it on. Like, it's just shining in the building, I'm pretty sure. So if it's always on, how does Batman or Batvagina know where they're supposed to go? How do they know when they need help? Does the light go off when they need help? Would it blink or something? I'm kind of confused with how this light works. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're still on episode 1. So we get this really bad emotional thing with this cop as he stands with his other cop friend next to the lights.
My kid used to stare at this thing through his bedroom window. Now I gotta be the one to flip it off?
Oh man, my kid liked the shine. What am I gonna do? Turn off the shine? It's stupid. Oh my god. But then something curious happens. Both cop and cop friend get taken out by knife. And this really confused me because I was just sitting there like, how did this happen? Because if you take a look at the scene, the person would have had to been in the shot for the knives to be thrown from the angle that they were thrown at, right? There isn't anyone there, so how does that work? They're coming from this direction and they're not in some bullshit like boomerang knife thing. I guess they teleported? The culprit is this Hot Topic blonde wig twig of a woman who looks like more of a cliche than I do. And she has something to say.
Said Alice, shall we believe the crows will protect us? Oh, I believe 6 impossible things before breakfast.
Alice appears on screen looking like a botched Melanie Martinez clone that fell into a bleach bath, and they all decide that they should be mildly confused instead of terrified, or question where the guards that were originally there had gone at all. I hate this woman. Not the actress. Obviously I don't know anything about her besides the only one in the entire cast who's actually trying and is the worst one in the entire cast, but I at least respect her for trying. Her character though, I hate her character. It's exactly the same, if not worse, than every 12-year-old creepypasta fangirl who wears FNAF merch and tries to act like they're kooky and crazy, as if it's something that doesn't come across as completely tryhard and vapid. They're one of those girls who loves Jeff the Killer, and then as they further along in their teenage years, they'll grow up to be one of those Tumblr true crime people who fantasize about the Columbine shooters. It's the same thing. I don't know why they keep doing this in all of these stupid reboots. It's not a funny character. Don't get me wrong, I love crazy characters, they're fun, but not this. Not this. This is the equivalent to the thing that I hate in indie horror games where every single one is just you wake up in an asylum and then there's some terrible stereotype of a mentally ill person who tries to kill you. Alice constantly shoehorns in some quote that makes me want to find where Lewis Carroll is buried so I can personally apologize to him for this. The crows say that there's eyes everywhere, but there's like 3 people, so I don't know how that works. And then they go look to the live feed of where the signal is supposed to be turned off, and Alice just steps out and starts talking. Just taking her time, and for some reason no guards are coming down there to apprehend her, even though she's clearly telegraphing where she is. I mean, they know exactly where she is. This just goes on for her entire speech, and yet she doesn't fucking get shot or anything. I guess this is because the crows are being distracted by the henchmen, but in a later shot there's like, what, 7 of them? And you can't tell me that such a high-profile event doesn't have more security. So they'd have someone on hand if something goes wrong, right? This is Gotham. Everything always goes wrong, and they haven't learned from that apparently. Maybe you really do need Batvagina. Alice says that the crows suck, which they do, and then says that they won't save Gotham, which they won't, and then pushes the camera down like a pouty teen, and the camera somehow manages to stay in like a really clear focal point, so that it manages to like gracefully arc down to where the murdered guard can be seen by everyone. I guess that's lucky. But that's when the crowd decides to panic, so I mean they're not entirely retarded. Just a little retarded. Now the next series of events is kind of confusing. First off, the henchmen are indeed attacking Black Lightning, as you'll see as the common theme of this show. Small women are somehow able to take out larger men who have guns or bats or whatever else for some magical reason. And it's like, she has a gun, and she didn't hesitate in killing one of the henchmen, so like, even if they had guns, she still has a gun, she's not completely powerless. Why not just fucking use the gun like a normal person? And then the fucker manages to get Black Lightning to chase him to the edge of the building, and I guess he's lucky she didn't just shoot him while he was running. I mean, guns aren't ranged weapons or anything. And this leads to her falling over the railing into a little trampoline fun ride, and they manage to hit her and incapacitate her to take her away. I guess that one guy being shot was just part of the plan, even though they could have done that without that guy being shot. Maybe they could have just taken out the guards and her beforehand so Alice can have her speech and then they can pick her up. But they decided to do this way around because they know the crows are so incompetent that it wouldn't work anyway. There are more of you than them, I'm pretty sure. So you couldn't just knock them out and carry her off instead of all of you standing down there making a bouncy castle while the other 2 go and get hurt. And then we go back to Kate and the stereotype man, and he hands her a phone and she picks up. Now, you know what I mentioned before with the exposition? Get a load of this fantastic exposition.
It's Mary. Your stepsister?
Mary, our parents have been married for over a decade. I know who you are.
Don't you just love it when you're talking to a family member and have to remind them that you're a family member with a recap of your history together in a phone call? Does this happen every time she calls? But she needs help because Black Lightning is missing after the incident, and Kate decides that she needs to go do something to help. She has a flashback at a slightly more frames per second of Black Lightning and her having a thing in the military, and they're a week away from graduation and mention that they could be penalized for misconduct, but they don't really say why. You know, when you vandalize something, it's usually not supposed to be in an easily identifiable way, like they'd know who you are, they'd know what your initials were. But that doesn't matter, they kiss, and then it goes back to present day Kate.
Crows represent order, security, safety. These monsters long for the good old days when gangs ran around unchecked.
I love how when it goes back to the crows looking for the bad guys, Jacob literally fucking says, "The crows are about order and the bad guys are about the chaos." Did your intro to creative writing tell you how to establish contrast at all? Why does your dad look like more of a lesbian than you do? What does that look, my guy? But they apparently are going for some sort of estranged relationship sort of thing, which is fine, but this episode is moving so fast that I don't even know what to do with that information. Like, we've had no other time with them to like work up to this, because there's some weird emotional shit going on, and then he hugs her and they seem to love each other, but apparently they fight a lot, and I just don't know what to do with this information. What am I supposed to take away from this? Oh, did I mention we're only like 10 minutes in? This episode moves so fucking fast that we should be getting these reveals later in the season, if not in the season finale. They're just cramming it in now. This fucking plot moves faster than Mobility Mary on the freeway. What the fuck? It's like they're constantly pulling iconic shit or like references or twists out of their asses so that the viewers don't look away and stop watching. It's like, it's sad. The next bit of exposition is just fucking awful.
You don't stand a chance against a team of ex-Navy SEALs and Green Berets.
Bruce was the one person who was actually there for me after Mom and Beth died.
She tells the audience that she was doing survival training to join the Crows, but then she also says that she needs to make a stop at a place that has an eye on everything in the city. Yet when it cuts to Wayne Industries, apparently it's completely abandoned because there are no lights on, and she's able to just climb up to the window and open it. Because locking windows doesn't matter, so Wayne Industries doesn't have any other support system to continue operating with any other things that it does, despite the head not being there. None of the other space can be used at all to help the community, especially if they've abandoned him and it's easy to get in. Right. So she fucks around a bit and then is caught by the one other person in the building. Luke, otherwise known as Manlet. He is apparently the one that Bruce trusted to take care of everything. The only person. Even though he's weak as fuck and apparently incompetent as fuck, so how does this work? What is he even doing hanging around just watching the cameras by himself? And he doesn't believe that she's related to Bruce and then asks, "What's his favorite soup?"
I'm Kate Kane.
Favorite soup?
Listen, Manlet, I don't know what the fuck my own favorite soup is. It changes like the damn weather, and I haven't had soup in such a damn while anyway, I wouldn't know. How the hell does she know what his favorite soup is? Do you even know that? But he takes her to just hang out in the security room while he calls security, who should have been around the entire time in the first place. And then she gets free and stops him and handcuffs him to the thing, and while she quickly goes over to the computer that she knows how to use.
Password still Alfred?
His password is Alfred. Now, here's the thing. If this was the Batman we all know and love in a good series adaptation, I would have been super surprised by the incompetence of how the building is protected, or lack of protection, and how the security system works, and how apparently this amazingly stealthy man with a huge empire is using the easiest password to guess in the world. But in this series, because of what we've seen so far and how she just walked in there, I'm honestly not surprised in the slightest. I'm still disappointed, I'm just not surprised. In the trailer, I was wondering what really would happen because they do make it seem like she just randomly walks into the Batcave, which doesn't seem to have any security either, and I was giving it the benefit of the doubt, if you can believe it. I was trying my hardest to because some trailers are just shitty. But coming back to this trailer after the episode, this is exactly what happened, and I am floored. So she goes up to the computer and puts the USB into this thing that shows her the camera footage and shows the guys kidnapping Black Lightning. I guess Kate just knows all of this information and knows how to get to the camera footage and why and how to like isolate the clips and everything. When the Crows didn't even think of coming in here to check the feed. Kate is the one who knows everything. And I guess the feed just happens to cut directly to when the kidnapping is taking place somehow. Is this a feature of the camera of the software? Does she need to copy the entire security feed or just the clip? And does she need to open like Vegas Pro or Windows Movie Maker to cut the clip out? How does this footage work? Why do you just have this? But wait, the shit is copied really fucking fast. The other shit can just be, but no. You do not copy that shit that fucking fast. That's not fucking right. Let me fucking show you what happens when you're transferring a large file. This is how the scene actually went.
What are you doing? The crows aren't able to.
The keys at his feet and leaves, but wait, you told him your full name. He knows exactly what you look like. There's security cameras in here. What's stopping him from just forwarding all of this to the security when he gets free and they can just come arrest you? Especially during the time when there's been a kidnapping by a gang that just made themselves known, and the members could be anyone and everywhere, so they're looking out for who it could be. You don't think that they could just take you in as suspicious because you broke in? What's stopping him from doing all of this, besides being a simp? So she goes to find her dad and meets up with Mobility Mary, the stepsister from before, who throws a surprise party and acts like nothing fucking happened.
Because you, me, cotton candy shots, now.
Yeah, let's go do shots because I apparently don't care enough about my friend to act worried at all. And she says that she found a box in Kate's closet, and I guess if she found some porn or something, I don't know. But she knows about their history with Black Lightning now. And luckily for us, Kate is standing directly next to this terrible picture of Jacob and Black Lightning, and this allows her to go back to another flashback for our viewing benefit. Apparently Kate was yeeted from the military for... Excuse me?
I hereby deny the below allegation of homosexual conduct.
Homosexual misconduct. What year is this? Is this the 1950s? American people who are watching this, please explain to me. Does this shit happen at all in the military? Because, excuse me, what is this? What military did you go to? The Westboro Baptist Church front? And then she's like, hey, Black Lightning, you want to get out of here and tear up these forms with me? But alas, her girlfriend wants to further her career like an adult and says no. Which makes Kate leave. And no, we're not done with this scene yet. I'm not entirely done with the fact that they actually tried to put the homosexual misconduct thing in. Also, apparently if there was a week left for graduation, then why didn't Kate just listen and keep it on the down low so after they left they could peacefully conduct their relationship and not have to worry about it? Because apparently they've managed to keep it up all this time and haven't gotten caught, so a week without pussy should be something that you can handle, Kate. For the sake of your girlfriend? Who you care about? It should have been okay with you if you really cared about her. You left all bitter because she didn't immediately leave her career for you after your disgraceful exit. And apparently she's the toxic person and not you. Kate is apparently a good person in the series. I don't fucking believe it. And this is when I have to tell you a little something about how bad the pandering in the show really is. So, when you come across the phrase key jangling in, descriptions of movies and whatnot, it refers to when you're kind of distracting the audience by using something in the film so they're distracted from the bad shit or like thinking about the plot or anything else. In the same way that when a baby is distracted by the jangling of keys, they don't notice anything else, they kind of just clap at it and they're entertained. This usually comes in the form of some action, bright colors, nostalgia bait, or anything like that, fan service I guess, but there is such a thing in shows like this where this method is used with politics. Political key jangling. As you've noticed, the show is focused on making some social statements and pushing their own agenda. And this is definitely a form of key jangling. Now, I can give you one major reason for this. There's a bunch, but I'll save the rest for maybe when we do another episode. Representation. Every time one of these shows comes out, they always bank on the woke media saying white males don't like this show because it has a lesbian in it or a woman of color in it, so the incels are giving it bad reviews, as a way to dismiss any of the bad things in the show. Because, oh, look at the representation. Don't take your eyes off the representation. Look at the representation. It just sucks. Not only because of how annoying it is to have an obnoxious, forced way of representation instead of just having these characters feel natural or like act normal, but it is also really, really fucking harmful to the people who actually want representation. Good representation, let me explain. Kate is an awful person. Throughout the series, she will repeatedly let this mass murderer, Alice, go hate on her dad as if he's an evil person when he's just trying to help and maybe a little misguided, but he's a good person. And then she comes back to repeatedly abuse Manlet. And she's just incompetent and annoying in general, but she has a huge ego. This could be fine in a world where she's supposed to be that way, so she can grow out of it as a character arc, as if these are her flaws, that the show is aware that these are flaws. Or perhaps she transitions into being a villain because of these flaws, and these are the seeds of her bitterness and her motivation for being evil. But the writing in the show clearly wants her to be seen as a good person, a perfect person, and a good representation of a lesbian character on screen. She is unintentionally written to be an asshole. So, because you're supposed to like her, and I fucking hate her. So first off, this is shitty representation because I think if you really want good representation, this is a slap in the face to anyone who is like, let's get a good quality hero character who is a lesbian. Because you should be getting a show with quality writing and a good character with your identity or whatever it is that does not come across as an incompetently written, shitty, like, unintentional villain. She's not real representation, she's just a shell. She's a shell with the identity that they're expecting you to love her for just stapled on top of her. It's a husk. A husk who flaunts her sexuality to make it seem like the show cares about you or your representation or any of your concerns, and you're just eating it up because you can see it and clap at the key jangling. She has a grudge against Black Lightning for moving on with her life and comes back later to judge and harass this woman and her choices just for having the audacity of moving on. And Kate is just a terrible person. Is this really the representation of lesbians or gays or anyone that you want to see on screen? Instead of just calling people homophobic when they criticize her, maybe you should just understand that the show is bad and you should want better for your representation. You should want better. And let me give you some more reasons why. I'm on a kick now. Let me keep going. This show is being universally panned by anyone who is not a hack political writer. And so people see this shit and go, wow, this lesbian character keeps reminding everyone that she's gay and attacking everyone. And the show wants to paint everyone as homophobic if they don't like this. This fucking sucks. And then, as more woke shows do this and put people into a corner when they don't like the show, it alienates their audiences, but it also alienates people from wanting to have this conversation, from wanting to think about maybe seeing representation in this way. So if you care about representation, this is doing the opposite of what you want in that regard as well. It's just a detriment. People start to see representation as a detriment because it's always portrayed in the most obnoxious way. And you're alienating your entire viewership besides those who are just pretending to like the show so they can look good to other people. These people who say that they like the show and that the show is automatically good because of the representation of lesbian characters don't actually care about your representation issues either. If they did, they'd also be bringing up the horrible way Kate represents lesbians in the show. Instead, they just look at Kate for her identity instead of her as a person, and don't bother thinking about how it impacts anything else at all. All the well-meaning people who want representation will go along with it and become misguided because of how shitty the entire cycle is. Lastly, as someone who used to have basically no sexuality but didn't want to use the term asexual, as of last year, came to the conclusion that I'm bi. I am so sick of seeing LGBT characters that have no other character besides being a stereotype of their sexuality and constantly shoving it into other people's faces. We don't do that. I'm bringing this up as a specific point. You couldn't fucking tell unless I just told you just then, because I don't make it a part of my personality. I don't fucking care. And it's just really fucking obnoxious when people portray all of these characters as doing that, because I don't fucking know anyone else who does that. I don't fucking care about representation as it is, but I'm trying to make an argument for people who do. You need to do it in a better way, I guess. And I can see why people would want representation kind of cool in a show that's good. But I just want a character that is fucking normal and has a fucking personality, and you don't even care about their sexuality. It just pops up when they get a love interest, and you're like, oh, okay, and continue on, because I don't want to fucking define myself as my dumbass sexuality. I don't fucking care. I'm so sick of the fact that the only representation that these people want is people who aren't even human. Even people who do the whole, proud of their sexuality thing and flaunt it, don't act like this. Again, I don't fucking care about representation 99% of the time, but if we're getting it, can't at least be good? Because it does piss me off. It does. I just don't care about a show because the lead is the same sexuality or a dark skin tone. But seeing how they treat these characters is doing me a disservice and setting us back with whatever you want to do. You're just making people hate this. Make your characters gay, make them brown, make them black, make them white, make them straight, make them whatever gender you want, but make them people first, identity second. And don't expect me to like a show just because it's made for me, because it has a character that might look like me. You can make me a cake out of dead babies as a birthday present, but that doesn't mean I'm fucking gonna eat it. You're not helping the LGBT movement by harassing people who criticize this show. You're only lining the pockets of the shitty corporations who don't care about you. Also, the reason that I brought this up now is to show you that there are still so many problems with the show. If you remove everything woke, it would still be a bad show. I criticized the exposition, the way that the plot really doesn't make sense, the really shitty way that the characters get into trouble and then get out of trouble. You don't have to talk about anybody's political things because it's still a shitty show. It would be shitty no matter what. If it was a straight white guy who was the lead, it would still be a shitty show. It's still bad. Speaking of bad, let's get back to the episode. So Kate has to go tell the crows that she found the footage of Black Lightning being kidnapped because apparently they didn't think to check the building across the damn street for any footage of what happened, and they managed to zoom in really well on the footage to see a slogan of the orphanage on the paddle that the bad guy is using, so they need to go there to check out the hideout for the villain. Kate has an argument with her dad because he wants to keep her safe and make her wait for the fucking professionals to go get the hostage, but Kate's fucking massive ego decides for her and she needs to go there by herself instead. I fucking hate this thing that shows do where the main character is suddenly gone, like they can teleport, as if that's at all possible. Like, he would have seen you walking away. It may look cool to you, but it's really fucking dumb. Please stop doing that. But Kate decides to go inside the orphanage by herself, even though there would be so many other people in there that would fight her and overwhelm her that she should have just waited for the professionals to come in for backup. But luckily, she as a twig of a woman can beat up multiple grown men who are all waiting in a line to try and fight her one at a time. Why are you just waiting? What are they paying you people? 3 peanuts and a kazoo? God, what is this soundtrack? So then this one guy brings like a baseball bat or something when Kate is conveniently not aware of her surroundings, and she wakes up being suspended in front of Alice. No, this isn't porn, it's just a reminder. I just figured after the horrible suit from before and now this, I should remind you that this isn't porn in case you're confused. So Alice says that she isn't used to being found, and the henchmen don't look prepared for Kate. So I'm guessing that Kate was a surprise for them, but why on earth did they use the paddles with the orphanage label clearly marked on them? I guess, like, if you're trying to defend them, you could just say, well, they were using the orphanage name because they knew that Kate would go and find them. And they were, like, banking on the crows for not looking at the footage and sending in people first, I guess. Like, that's still wrong, but that still doesn't work. I don't think that that's the case. I think they genuinely just didn't know that Kate would find them because they're not reacting in a way that would make sense. And Alice has been doing this for a really long time. So if she has this much experience doing this and this many resources, how did they do that? How did they slip up in that way? Is this just convenient? If they were a bunch of teenagers who had gotten in too deep in their own club and decided to take an officer hostage and this was what this was about, I could believe that this was a mistake that they would make, but why the fuck would I believe that this criminal mastermind did the same thing? Oh no, the quirk. Kate is angry, which you can tell because she looks like she's halfway through a seizure. But Kate is like, where is Black Lightning? And Alice says she's gone, and then Kate's like, no, take me instead, not her. Dude, she already has you. She could just take you both, you idiot. You wouldn't be able to do anything about it. But Alice says that she wants to send a message to Jacob because she's not scared of him anymore, and he's not good for Gotham, and she thinks that Black Lightning is the one that Jacob really loved and thinks of as a daughter, not Kate, so Kate should just join her. And then Kate's like, shut the fuck up, you cunt. And then Alice knocks her out again. You could have fucking killed her. Then who would give your message? One of your bunny rabbit sidemen? This is your brain on quirky. The crows get there way too fucking late and everyone is gone, and then Jacob is clearly concerned for Kate when he doesn't find her. He cares about her. But then she wakes up to Mary, who says that Kate was dumped on her makeshift hospital's doorstep. So the bunnies were apparently stealthy enough to vacate the entire building and then dump Kate on the ground without being found out, yet they were stupid enough to use the paddle from the place that they were staying at to easily identify their location. But Kate has no head trauma, even though she was hit very, very hard, and the only bruise that she has is from all of the fighting is this cut that seems to be kind of unrelated, and she's just fine and jumps up afterwards. Also, Mary is apparently stealing medical equipment and supplies from her university to do her own bootleg medical practice. This show treats this like a good thing.
I'm sorry if stealing from my med school makes me a bad person.
It doesn't.
So I guess anyone else who might need that equipment doesn't matter, and if she fucks it up because she's only a student and doesn't have the necessary prac qualifications, those deaths would be on her head. But I don't know, she seems like the type who wouldn't take responsibility for that. Kate goes to have a fight with her dad, and he specifically states that he has like half the force looking for her when she went missing, and he really wants to keep her safe, and the reason that he did what he did was for her. And it's not in a selfish way, even if it is misguided, it seems genuine. He really does care about her. But she yells at him a lot and treats him like dirt, and the show is like, yeah, he's the asshole. Is it because he's a man? And then we have more emotional scenes that we just don't have context for because it's only the first episode, and apparently Jacob just sucks, I guess. I guess every dude in the show needs to be a bad person unless they're a simp. Speaking of simps, she goes back to Manlet, and instead of asking him where Batman is politely, she fucking hurts him until he tells her what he knows. Then she goes back to a 5 FPS flashback to finish off the exposition from the start of the episode. And this tells her where the key is, and the cave entrance is just obvious. Like, do I have to comment on this? It's really shitty. And she fits the big ass key into the big ass lock that for some reason is right next to the big ass key. So she hurts the manlet until he's so scared of her that he just lets her do what she wants because he's afraid of more physical abuse. And then it unlocks and she goes inside, where the elevator thing comes down so the manlet can't come in. He tells her to stop and she says the most obnoxious thing she could possibly say about rules.
So I have this thing with rules.
Yeah, you apparently have this thing about human decency as well, don't let me stop you. Why are there bats in here? Don't get me wrong, I love bats, they're like my favorite thing ever, but this is a city. Why are they circling around her like magic? They're bats! And she has this OMG Bruce's Batman moment and then finds the clipping of the accident her family went through like on the wall with bat fridge magnets. Then we get another low frame rate flashback that finishes off the accident scene and we see Batman is just using a grappling hook and then fucking off without actually checking if the grappling hook fucking worked. He didn't even check if they were safe, he just leaves. He's like, oh, I fucking did what I could, and just goes away. For some fucking reason, even though this doesn't sound like something that he would do. And then she's talking about her backstory and Manlet is just chiming in as if he knows her exposition, even though the audience would know but he wouldn't. That's another problem with these shows. They always act like everything that the audience knows the other characters would know, and it's like, you weren't fucking told that. Then she apparently knows how to use everything in the Batcave, including how to power everything on, how to open the gadget panels, and everything else. Manlet just decides that she's still too scary for him, and he lets her fuck around and do everything that she wants in the cave, despite the fact that he was apparently supposed to look after the cave. And then she says that Batman became Batman because he's scary and doesn't like rules, just like Kate. So she demands that Manlet fix the suit for her, and he's like,
Suit is literal perfection.
and she's like,
It will be. When it fits a woman.
and he just like looks at her, so it's like, are you gonna say no because she has no right to any of this equipment or what? So we cut to the movie in the park that's happening in Gotham tonight, even though it's apparently raining. And then like 30 people show up. I assume that low because it's raining. And the crows are taking security checks. Then Jacob gets a call from the bad guys. Oh no, you have a bomb? Why you gotta have a bomb? I don't like bombs. Oh man, it's in there. Oh man, I hate bombs. Why did you open it when it could have easily been rigged to explode if you opened it? Why didn't you do any of the other professional things you were supposed to do, including call in experts after notifying the rest of your team of the bomb's location? And then there's her with the hostage and oh no, this guy from the police force is evil. Alice is just standing there afterwards. She's like, yes, I have my hostage. Everything is going according to plan. And then some random guy just like flies past her. He just gets fucking yeeted away. And then another guy just gets yeeted as well. Oh no, this is such a bad angle. The suit looks so bad. How did you get him to fix it? He doesn't like you. He could have easily said no. Your head looks like a balloon. So Alice throws her knife, and even though Kate took out all of these grown men, she can't take out a skinnier woman than her. And then they fight a bunch, and somehow Alice's knife gets fucking embedded in the concrete. Then the other man gets to Kate as she is rescuing the hostage, and she lets him knock her off of the building with the hostage. And somehow they don't die, so her and Black Lightning just kind of stare at each other for too long. And then Kate gets up and leaves, and she somehow knows how to use all of the gadgets to fly away. So this little girl gets inspired over the sight of Batman flying over the rooftops, and oh, this is glorious. What is that, a JPEG? How did you make that in Windows Movie Maker? Why is this the worst looking thing I've ever seen in this show? I can't stop rewinding to it and laughing at it. Back at the Crows, they're all speculating on Batman and the sighting that they just had, and then Black Lightning is like, it's not a he, and Jacob just thinks it's some wannabe who'll die or something. And then Kate and Black Lightning, aka the ex-girlfriend, bump into each other and talk, and then, oh no, she has a husband now and Kate doesn't like this. Then Kate comes in and they have a moment and she's like, oh, Dad, you don't love me. And he's like, I do. And then she's like, you never gonna let me in the Crows. And he's like, I never wanted you to go in the Crows, even though that's not the question that she asked. Oh, okay, no wait. We need to go back to the husband thing. So what they're obviously gearing up to is that Black Lightning will realize that she still loves Kate and Kate will get with her and then convince her to leave her husband. We know this. We know this is gonna happen. But here's why this is fucking trash. Kate is so fucking bitter that she doesn't take a second to think that her ex might actually have moved on and been in a fucking relationship that she actually wants. Because Kate is the only one for her. She can't have moved on. Kate is just a creepy person who can't let go. And the show sets it up like, look, Black Lightning was with a woman before, so she's obviously still in love with a woman. Because she's just hiding her lesbianism by being with a man. Firstly, again, it portrays these lesbians as fucking toxic. And secondly, she could be bi. She could easily have something that develops for her where she could fall in love with someone regardless of their gender and that be a thing. That's why it's so frustrating to watch this as well, because these shows are so weird about their woke pandering that they end up being anti the thing that they're trying to promote. They're trying to promote the lesbian representation, but they're just presenting a shitty, insulting character that is only defined by being an asshole who is abusive and can't stop saying that she's gay. And they're presenting relationships with a man and a woman as clearly a front, as a thing that isn't legitimate because you can only pick one. These shows are just so fucking stupid. Why? Like, imagine this being a man. Imagine then she shows up to Black Lightning, and Black Lightning is with a girlfriend, and then the boy Kate is just like, no, this can't be true. You don't like women, you like me. And then she fucking stalks Black Lightning for the entirety of the series. People would go fucking nuts. So the fact that it's a woman doing that to another woman, it's like, it's fine. It's like so... They accuse other shows of being so hardcore straight and it being homophobic, but then they do it so hardcore on the other way, like you can only be attracted to the same gender. It's like you're doing the same thing. There's no room for anyone else that fits in between. Again, I'm not saying that you have to have a character who is like, you know, whatever sexuality, but if you're trying to make that angle, like you have to have this representation, you're doing it fucking wrong. It's just funny that with these shows in this day and age, I can't tell who the writers are. Either a bunch of former BuzzFeed employees who constantly talk about wincest on Twitter, or a boardroom of old people whose only knowledge of the current vernacular they're trying to emulate is the conversations that they had before their wives took the kids away from them. So this episode ends with Kate basically writing a letter to Bruce to justify the narration bits, and she repeats the same thing as before, and then it cuts to Alice, who's like, "We'll rule Gotham together, sister," and it's revealed who Alice is in the first episode. Any sense of mystery is gone. Just ends it with a shitty outro that looks like they gave a toddler the Blender software in one tutorial to make it for the school project. Do you want me to review the next episode? Because I will probably shoot myself, but at least I'll get a cool video out of it, right? This is so wrong on so many levels that I was initially planning to talk about the entire series, including Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's a terrible crossover that we'll get to one day. But it was so bad that when I started writing up my notes when I watched the first episode, that alone took me like an hour to do. This video is so long on the one episode, I would have probably taken 20 hours straight to talk about the entire series because of all the bad shit in there. God, I need to go do something else. I need to go do good things to cleanse my palate of this disaster. I'm gonna go hide on my island in Animal Crossing New Horizons or something. I don't fucking know. Get the shit off my island.